All right. Hello, everyone. I'm streaming to Facebook. So, hey, Facebook, and hey, Instagram. This is my first dual live on Instagram. Actually, it's probably like one of three lives on Instagram. I don't go live here very often. So, y'all, if you can do me a huge favor and just comment below and say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. I am here and I'm so excited. I am here with Pam, aka Pamdiana Jones. And y'all, you are going to be totally floored and excited, and just you might giggle a little bit. I found her. This is what I love about social media. I'm just making sure we're live. I'm hoping we're live. Let's see. I think we are. Okay. Yep, we got a live viewer. So, guys, do me a favor. Up top, you'll see StreamYard. Give access to StreamYard so we can see your comments. We can comment back to you. We want to interact. So, I found Pam just on Facebook. So, how many of you love social media and just connecting with new people? So, Pam is my kind of person. Let me share a little bit about her. So, she is like the spontaneous hippie kind of lady that when I saw this, I was like, no way, this is super cool. Here she is as a young woman, and she sells her car to travel, right? I mean, how many of you, that's your dream? Like, that would be my dream, to travel the world. It is my dream to travel the world. So one of the things, Pam is a mom, she's a wife, she's an author, and she just is a beautiful soul, super witty. And I picked up her book right before I went to Mexico because I knew we were going to be doing this live. And I said, I want to share, you know, I want to share authors. I want to share women. This is what I do. This is my passion, to support other women. And so I picked up her book, When in Rome, and I'm going to actually just intro Pam so she can come in and we're just going to chat a little bit. So Pam, well, she lives in California. I'm just going to share that, where her story actually starts in California. And Pam, just come in and share a little bit. This is a wild, wild story. So come in and share a little bit with the audience.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm just real happy to meet you and to get to know you. You're my type of gal, too. Um, I just, uh, in the 1990s, I was 24 years old, a little bit restless, and I took off around the world. Supposed to be 3 months with a friend and turned into 3 years around the world by myself. So um,
Love
it's
it.
called When in Rome, ROAM, like you're roaming around. And I don't know if you can see the cover here, but I've just been shoved off of a bungee platform after I've told my friend I don't want to go. And he just goes, okay. And then he shoves me. And I bring this up because the title of the book and the picture is exactly how the whole entire story goes. I am fumbling my way around the world, not knowing what I'm doing. And I have a guardian angel that is just exhausted. Still, I have learned nothing. So, um, I'm I meet a guy that's going. This is the beginning of the story. I meet a guy who's going surfing in South Africa, and I had relatives that had lived in South Africa and had been to Africa, and I just thought, wow, how fun. He goes, "Do you want to go?" I went, "Yeah, I do." So he thought I was joking, and I emptied my bank account and sold my car, and off we went together. And he wasn't my boyfriend or anything. We weren't dating, so he was really shocked that I was able to go. He goes, "Everyone has an excuse why they can't go, and you just give me all your money." So off we went, and he taught me how to travel for dirt cheap. We ate white rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We bought a car in South Africa and drove the whole way and slept in the car quite often. And in the middle of the trip, he decides he has to get home for his sister's wedding. And I go, I've got lots of friends in South Africa. Now I'm going to stay. And I just keep sleeping on new friends' couches and going to their barbecues and hanging out and just really enjoying myself. I go to the wild animal parks, and I think you've already heard a few scenes where I'm chased by a herd of wild elephants, and I accidentally upset a rhino at one point. So just that's what I mean by story of my life. I just have this let's just say I'm very optimistic that things will work out. But on the way home, I'm not ready to go home. Traveling that cheaply has not spent most of my money. So I'm like, can I get off the plane in Malaysia? And the stewardess says yes. And that just begins this whole other adventure that I hadn't planned at all. And super spontaneously, I continue on and see the rest of the world, you know?
So you were traveling just for a couple of months and then decided to just travel. So how long did you actually travel for?
Nearly 3 years. So
Wow.
it was supposed to be a 3 month trip with a friend, and it turned into 3 years solo. So I just found if you had told me I was going to take a 3 year solo journey, I would have never went. I'm not a courageous person. This was just supposed to be a vacation with a friend that was a little bit longer than normal. So I just kept calling my mom, don't pick me up at the airport. I'm in Malaysia now. Don't, I'm in Singapore now for another week or two. It just kind of kept going a little bit like that. And Jay had taught me. Jay was the one from the beginning of the book.
Your
He had
surfer
taught
guy.
me. Yeah, and he's actually still a friend. He's a ship's captain here in Newport, so I see him. We're just about 20 minutes from each other.
Oh, wow.
But he had taught me wash your clothes in a sink with a bar of soap and things like that that the rest of the world knows. And I'm just born and raised middle class girl in California. We just didn't think like that. It's like, oh, the washing machine's broken. I can't do my laundry, you know? So he taught me the way the rest of the world worked, and I just loved it.
As I was reading in the book, as you are doing those travels, and I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I could do that. Wash my clothes in the sink with a bar soap. I don't know if I could eat rice for that many days. I mean, at one point you were like, I'm so sick of rice.
Yeah.
And we were just chatting before, and you said, I still don't even eat rice now. Like
Oh, 20 years later, I'm like, no, no rice.
That's crazy. But, one of the things that I absolutely loved was here, I have some notes because I wanted to make sure I was doing this.
Sure.
You did have some challenges as you were traveling, right? I mean, the
Oh,
book
yeah.
has a ton of these. First of all,
Starts
well,
out with a stabbing on the train. That's my fault. So
well, that was
you learn
crazy.
quickly.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I want to read it, and you warned me. You warned because
It
I'm like, hey,
starts
I
out
read
rough.
your book, and you said, be careful, it's a little rough in the beginning, and I was like,
Yeah,
can't be that rough.
it's
And
pretty
then
rough.
so do a PG version of that.
Yes.
Just share a little about that.
Um, Jay and I took a 29-hour flight from Los Angeles to Johannesburg. We didn't know where we wanted to end up, but he wanted to see the whole coast, and I was on for his trip, so I was yes to anything, girl. So we tried to buy first or second class tickets, which is this was a different time. It was the apartheid was 1 year old. Nelson Mandela was the new president. So black people were always in the third class, and white people were in the first or second. They just didn't mix, and they were still getting used to becoming friends after the apartheid was over. So the ticket guide wouldn't sell us. If first in class was booked up for a month, we couldn't just stay in that one city. That's not what we wanted. And it was a very rough city at that time. Picture New York in the 70s, where it's pretty seedy. So I'm sure it's changed a lot since then now, but we insisted on third class ticket. We're getting out of here, and we insist. And this is reverse discrimination. You have to sell it to us. And um, so we're the dummies that don't understand. We think we'll show them we have lots of friends of every color, and we're from LA. We know everybody. So it's just not like that there. So everybody just stared at us when we got on the third class. And it's a 25-hour train ride. So you're about to make some new friends. At one point, I go looking to splash some water on my face, and these two white South African police officers pull me aside and say, we were just about to come and get you. It gets very rough back there at night. And they insisted on buying us dinner. They insisted on sharing their cabin with us. And they had some workers that were with them, and they were more of Islander or Malay, so the darker skin but the straighter black hair. Just to put it in perspective for your listeners here, so they insisted that their workers took our place back in third class because they go, well, they'll know how to handle anything. Well, someone gets stabbed that night, and it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't bought those third class tickets. So
Mhm.
it's this optimistic, wow, we're gonna have so much fun on this adventure, almost like going to Mexico for a week of vacation or going to Hawaii or going to the beach or something. It immediately just drained my face. Like, we're making life-changing decisions here, and we better learn where we're at before we just insist on our way like arrogant Americans. So it
Mm.
was a very eye-opening first couple of days. I can't say I didn't make a mistake again, but nobody got as it didn't quite get as dangerously close as that.
I mean, and I'll tell you, as I was reading that, I was freaking out. I mean, I was just like, I don't know if I can read any more of this, and I did, and I was like, okay, you guys are safe. I mean, it was really it was a scary little section there, but then you proceed and you are following the surfers, right? And
Yes,
you did learn to surf, right?
I did. Yeah, I'd
And you're
always
from
wanted to growing up
California,
in
right?
California.
Wasn't
Well,
everyone
no,
surf in California?
but people don't realize this because they're used to the Baywatch TV show, but that Pacific water is freezing. So I was always like, I'll dip in and dip out on super hot days, but I don't want to be in there on freezing cold days. So I never had learned here. So I always wanted to, but by then I was 24 and just thought, oh, that's kind of maybe something younger people do. And I don't know why I had that mindset. It's like just do what you want when you want.
Hmm.
Some 90-year-old can go to college if they want to. What it's only you're only is holding yourself back. So I thought
Yeah.
I'm never doing that again once I learned to surf a bit there in South Africa.
Well, I'm partway, well, midway through your book. I went to Mexico, so I was feeding monkeys, and all I could think of is you. I seriously, as I'm doing these things, and I'm like, I don't know how you did these things. Like you ran from, there were a herd of elephants coming after
Yeah.
you. You hiked
We're the
up.
dummies that got out of the car. Yeah. That was
Well,
funny.
and then there's a huge snake, and then there's tarantulas in
Yes.
this book. So
Yeah.
share with the audience snippets of maybe your craziest moments. Where I mean, I can't even imagine being chased by it, like the fear. Just share a little bit of that, like what you were thinking, what you guys were, because the experience of that is insane.
Yeah. To see a large animal in the wild is just not like seeing them at a zoo, which is all I'd had the experience for before that, like most people. So my mom had been to Africa in her 20s, and she has some stories of how they just walked up on her while she was gathering wood and things like this. But uh, we were in a car with some friends, in our car with some friends, and we decided to park and watch them walk around. And me and Jay decided to get out and follow them a little bit. Well, pretty soon they're way off in the distance, and they're pushing one out of their way. They're kind of angry with him, like back up, buddy. We don't want you today. You're bothering us. So pretty soon we're just so amazed by them. We're snapping some pictures, and they're just a dot off in the distance. And right when we realize, oh, that's as far as we're going to go with them, we look back and our car is a red dot off in the other distance. So we've come a fair way. So we start walking back, moseying, and all of a sudden the ground starts rumbling. And we come from California. We just thought it was an earthquake. We just think everywhere has a small rolling earthquake. And there's no big trees or anything. So we weren't afraid of something falling. We're just like, oh, and then pretty soon we're going, wait a minute. And we both turn back at the same time. And there is just a massive dust cloud. They're chasing the one they're mad at right towards us. So Jay goes, run. And we just start jumping over bushes. And I'm not a runner. I'm like, well, go to the ice cream man. And that's maybe the phone if it's ringing. But I'm just not. I'm going, oh, what's going to happen? But I remember thinking, like, well, if I get trampled by elephants in Africa, at least that will be an appropriate death for the Indiana Jones life I wished I had had, instead of just hit by a school bus or something. But it's they were just breathing down our neck, and the dust cloud encompasses us. We're filthy, and then they happen to veer away, and we happen to get like 10 extra feet to our car. So, like I said, my guardian angel's exhausted.
Seriously.
They're like, Pam, what are you doing? Get in the car. Like, why are you getting out in the first place?
And then you guys get out and look at a snake, like, right? I mean, or Jay does. I
Yeah.
don't think you did. Were you in the
Yeah.
car still?
I was in the car. He just leaned out to get a picture of it, but it was a puff adder, which is one of the most poisonous in the world. But thank God we didn't see that while we were running through the bushes. I
Right?
mean, not making great decisions that day.
No, definitely not. So here's what's so crazy, that you were writing letters home. This is like pre-internet. So you're
Pre-internet,
right,
yeah.
and you're 24 years old.
24. Uh-huh.
And like
1995.
I'm thinking about my kids. And you and I were kind of talking about this. You've got a set of twins, they're 13.
13-year-old twins. Yes, boy,
And
girl.
I can't imagine not being able to like talk to them, make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine what your mom was thinking. And I know your mom was a traveler, but I'm sitting here thinking, holy cow, like all these adventures, the crazy surfing one where she almost got killed in this hut that they were living in. And while all the guys are surfing, she stays home. And I'm thinking, you have to read the book to see it. I don't want to give all the juicy details away. But what I can say is, man, I would be right. I would be calling home and saying, I am scared to death. I just wanted to say, but you got to write letters home.
Yes.
Like, talk about that a little bit, because that is that, like, now the difference between then and now, right? It's crazy.
My mom wanted once a week phone calls, but I thought that's going to take me out of the moment I'm in. So I can't commit to that. So I thought I'll write home once a week, but I'll call once a month. So she's expecting those letters. So yeah.
And how do you
Um,
sign your letters?
I felt like Indiana Jones. So I started signing my name Pamdiana Jones, and that kind of stuck. And eventually, years later, when I got my first email address, I thought Pamdiana Jones still. And then when I decided to write this book finally, it just was no question that that's going to be my pen name.
So
And I
smart.
thought, well, any Indiana Jones fans will, especially that the fifth one just came out. That's a whole nother generation that will get back into the movies. But anybody will see my name that knows Indiana and goes, that's the type of book I want to read. Or even if someone doesn't know that it's a spoof on the movie, they're going to go, what a unique name. Why don't you tell me about it? So then I kind of win-win either way.
Well, that was me. When I found you on Facebook, I was like, all right, who is this? This is such a cool name. It's so cool. You're just so that branding was so smart.
It
So
was
when I
fun.
so when I saw that, I was like, I need to check her out. So I started looking at your stuff, and I'm like, you are a hoot. So y'all check her out. She's got some great content. But I wanted to just ask, like, what are some unexpected lessons that you've learned as a traveler? Like, what can you teach
Yeah,
the audience now? Because you have so much knowledge, and you do travel often with your kids
I
and
do.
your husband around the world. So, what are some
Well, no
lessons?
money now. It's been a minute.
Well, you're writing all these books and all these things.
Yeah.
It's coming to you.
Yeah, we try to do something every couple of years with the
Love it.
kids. So it's just now it's tickets for 4 people. That's the whole thing. Plus, people don't remember you got to pay your mortgage and get a dog sitter and all that. Well, like your life goes on at home while you're traveling. So you kind of need double the money. So it's a whole more commitment now than it was when I was just going, yeah, let's go. So I'd say I was at a stage in my life where a lot of my friends would ask me like, "Oh, did you get a haircut or what'd you have for lunch?" And while that was nice, I definitely thought, "I want to it's boring. I want to talk about politics and religion and cultures and music and art and history. What don't I know is what I wanted to." So if you asked me what I had for lunch, I'd go, "Who cares?" Like, slightly annoyed. Well, when I got to Africa, people that care about you go, "What'd you have for lunch?" And, "Oh, did you get a haircut?" And then you get to Indonesia and Australia, New Zealand, they go, "Oh, did you get a haircut?" Oh, and then it just hits you. Oh, if people care enough to ask, they just love you. They're connecting with you.
Hmm.
So now that's my favorite question to answer. And I get right into it. I had the marble rye bread, a little slightly toasted with the Dijon mustard and the sprouts on it. So I will lay into what did you have for lunch? Oh, I'll tell you because you cared enough to ask. So I love that connection now that people want to share their lives with you.
That's awesome. One of the things also in your book is you were being invited when you were in different cultures, these different countries, and just out of nowhere, and the trust on their part, but also the trust on your part. I mean,
Yes.
it's almost like hitchhiking, like when you think about it, right? And I think about as you were going along with this, and people would just invite you to their home. So would you just share a little bit
Yes.
about this? I mean, they called you spaghetti hair when you were walking through the
Yeah.
village. I mean, it was just so cool to see all these different things because they couldn't, you didn't speak the same language, but they saw your hair and it looked like spaghetti. And,
Yes.
but also, just the kindness. And I think that the kindness and the trust is something, especially now, right?
I was just gonna say the world wants you to think it's crazy right now, and you better
Yeah.
stay home with the door locked. Um, I might believe that if I just watched the news now and hadn't had the life I'd had.
Mm.
I met so many kind people. People were almost bickering over, "We get her this weekend. No, no, you get her after that. We can trade her." And just to have a barbecue and be at your grandma's house and be at your wedding. And it's I never felt alone traveling around the world. I had more friends in my life than I do just staying home now. And I think this was before the internet. So you watched American movies or TV shows that you couldn't pause on TV. So there was still a curiosity about America. It was the American dream or a California dream and all this stuff where people were just like, wow, and not many Americans travel. It was military men who may or may not have had too many beers and been not their best selves as well. Um, and maybe a super wealthy family that only wanted to stay at the Ritz-Carlton and not meet the locals or something. But it was very rare to meet backpacking Americans. I always met Europeans and Australian New Zealanders, and maybe some Japanese or people that maybe came from wealthier countries that could afford it, maybe some Argentinians or something like that. But it's um, it was very rare to meet another American, and not at all. I never met a woman traveling on her own that was from America. If I met someone that was a woman alone, she was from America. She had just left a big group that she had traveled with, and she was just about to meet another, so she was only alone for 2 days or something like that. So um, I think I was more of an anomaly, but people were just so kind. Sleep on my couch. Some people would give me their bed, and they'd sleep on the couch. It was just a different time, but I met so many travelers that if they were sick in a country that they didn't speak that language, women would take them off the bus and nurture them and back to health. And that's the type of world that I saw.
I love
And
that.
that reminds me that this whole news cycle is that can kiss my butt.
Seriously. I do. I love that. And I love the fact that, you learned, and we were kind of talking about a little before, just you learned how to, different medical practices, I guess, what different
Yeah,
ways naturally, because that's what they have in, all these countries that you were traveling. So,
right.
I know they said something about, or there was one part where you were talking about malaria. I remember reading that,
Yeah.
and you were taking something, and then they were talking about something totally different than what you were doing. So, could you
Yes.
just maybe touch on that a little bit? Because I think it's so relevant. We're so quick to jump on the bandwagon of, um, you know, big pharma or whatever. And
Well,
now,
everything big pharma does copies. If they're like, think of your vitamin C pill.
mm,
There's vitamin C in the oranges that it's trying to copy. So every pill is trying to copy something. So when I landed in Malaysia, first of all, I had gotten a pincushion of vaccines right before I traveled because, it's third world countries back then that you needed cholera and yellow fever and all of this stuff to even go. They needed to see it with your passport that you were inoculated the right way. And so I had gotten malaria pills in case I went into northern Africa or more of the Congo or something, which I didn't think I was going to go, but just in case, I wanted to be prepared. So I started taking them in Malaysia because it's very jungly there. And in I'm actually in Sumatra.
that's where I'm at now.
All the jungles blur together now. Yeah, I'm in Sumatra, and I just pull up to a little hut resort thing that's got some animals and some. The guy sees me taking it, and he goes, "No, no, no." He goes, "We make some malaria tea." And we walk through the jungle for an hour. It's super dark canopy, sweating bullets. I'm in jeans, and he's got his machete. I really feel like an Indiana Jones moment there. And he's picking flowers and vines. And at the end of it all, he goes, "Oh, you have leeches on your boots." I'm all like, and he's a very funny guy. So I'm like, please be lychees, not leeches. And it's just a whole nother scene that's, if I ever have to do a book reading, that's this place I start because it turns into a whole animal adventure and then bugs in my room. And oh, it's just a full day that I'm going, this is just one day while I'm overseas. But
Wow.
to drink the malaria tea, I never took another malaria pill, and I never, he goes, you only need to drink it like once a month. I go, okay. So, and then once you get down more south towards Bali, you don't have to take it. So I just listen to the locals.
That's so cool. I love that. And learning different cultures, what they, medicine, foods.
Yeah.
What was your favorite food? I would love to, like, that's just something different. Like, what was
Yeah.
something in one of, your most favorite different thing besides rice, obviously?
Oh gosh, yeah. Once in a while, I just needed a total break. And places like Indonesia and Thailand and things have dirt cheap food, like real gourmet food that is just $1.50. So
Wow.
I got lucky after that, but everything served with rice. So I was already going, no. But just some unique things like South Africa, they had something called a bunny chow. It's a full unsliced loaf of bread, and they scoop it out like one of those sourdough soup bowls, but they fill it with beans and cheese or beef stew or something else and it's a full hearty meal. For that was like $1.50 as well. So it's like, oh, I should have found
Wow.
these earlier on. But because I ate a $2 bag of rice for a week, that saved me so much money to continue traveling. So I'm glad Jay had taught me early, don't spend $5 a meal because it's going to add up, you know? So I go, okay. And I'm so glad he did that. Otherwise, I would have blown through all my money and went home. So
So
he taught
smart.
me each day, each thing you buy has to be worth it. So I went, okay.
So
But
smart.
more food though. There was in New Zealand they have a little soda called L&P soda, and it's just like you ever have lemon curd on toast or something? It's like lemon jam. It was
Mm.
so good. Let's see. Indonesia, they have something called gado-gado, which is like it's a salad, but it has this like spicy peanut butter dressing. It's super good, and I would never put peanut butter with a salad, so it was unique, you know.
That's
But I
really
loved it.
cool. So two last things. So talk to me about the volcano because let me tell you
Yeah.
something. I'm getting ready to go to Hawaii, and I'm thinking that's my fear, right? This volcano is gonna erupt or whatever. But you actually hiked a volcano, an active volcano.
I did.
Would you share a little bit about that without giving all the things away?
That is the hardest thing I've ever done physically in my life. There are volcanoes all throughout Indonesia, so a lot of travelers go to Bali. Bali is like Hawaii or Bahamas for Americans, but Australia, Bali, it's a 2-hour flight. It's very cheap, so they go a lot of the times. But a lot of the tourists just go to you hike up Mount whatever for 2 hours. I'm the dummy who doesn't ask anything, and I'm in Java, in Yogyakarta, and there is something called Mount Merapi. And the guide goes, "Oh, it's $10 to climb it tomorrow." I go, "Okay." I'm in a yes. If I back up a little bit and tell you the beginning of the book, um, I've learned the hard way that I should say yes to everything. So that's my new thing. I'm going to say yes to everything. So sometimes I go yes before I even think it through. So I start hiking and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a runner. I'm not a big hiker. I've got knee issues. And 10 minutes in, I'm miserable. And it's going to be a 6 hour, I think it's 4 hours up and 4 hours back. It's an 8 hour hike. And what am I doing? You know, so the dust is in my mouth. It's freezing. We're in the middle of the night. I don't have a flashlight. I'm just holding this guide's hand. I'm last and he's with me. And there's 20 other people way ahead of us, hours ahead of us. And it's just, um, I would have paid $1,000 to get a gondola ride back down at that point. But somehow I struggle and I make it. I actually fall asleep on top of the volcano because he says, let's take a little break for 15 minutes. And I wake up and we're ready. So I go, oh, I was sleeping. All right, I'm that exhausted. Well, I'm the dummy who I was staying up so late every night that I just said, oh, I'll just stay up all night before I even go on this hike because I won't have time to sleep. So I am not prepared at all. And to see the volcanic lava just merging and moving and the steam hits you in the face and here's the volcano but here's all the clouds below it so you can see mountain peaks off in the distance, just above the clouds, kind of like the Burj Khalifa in Dubai right now, where if it's a cloudy day, it's above the clouds and all you can see is a few other office buildings. But it was otherworldly. It was like a realm not of this earth. And to have the other people already have seen it and gone back down, and it's just me and my guide, it felt like we're just, I don't know, like Superman with Lois Lane when he picks her up and he's flying and it's just like, wow, we're just alone here. And it was just a little moment between us. And he probably will never remember me, but I will never forget him.
That's amazing. I love this. I can't wait to finish this book. I
Oh,
was
the
telling
adventures keep coming.
and it's amazing because you just kind of wing through it all. Like, I mean, even though there's some fear in this, and just how did I end up here? You
Yes.
still managed to come out with such a positive outlook on all of it, and I love that. Especially in this time now, so many people are so negative. So to read this and see this positivity is just amazing. But what I love is that this all transpired because of your mom, right? Your mom, and is it your grand your is it
My grandparents used to live in Africa too. They were British, but they lived in Africa. And then my mom went for a month when she was in her 20s. But it really came down to I was just starting to get into the California rat race. I had just bought a bunch of furniture. I was needed a bigger job to get a better house for the furniture and all this stuff. And then my moving truck gets stolen, full of everything I own. And my sister goes, well, you can rebuy everything you just had. And I thought that will depress me to my core. So I said, no, I'm going to make a change in a massive way. And I thought, I'm going to go backpack. So it worked out to have nothing. I would have never been able to do that if I was still caught up in but I need to take care of my rent and my this and my that, because it's actually cheaper to travel if you don't have a home base. I'm not paying rent. I don't have a car insurance, tire rotation, oil changes, car insurance. You don't have furniture, you don't have water bills. So it was actually the greatest freedom.
I love that you got to experience that. I mean, I think of the audience, and guys, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Like, share below what, if you could do that, right? Do you wish you could travel? Where do you wish you could travel? One of my things when you were talking about Dubai, that's on my list. I'd love to see Indonesia. I want to go to Bora Bora. I want to go to Bali. Like, I see all
Yeah.
these things and I'm thinking, I can't wait to read this book, like, and just see where I'm like, where can I go? But you do have a book coming up, right? You've got it.
I do.
Would you share a little bit?
Um, well, I'm writing my second travel memoir. A lot of the people from the first travel book have now invited me to their home countries. So I go visit again and I end up going through the South Pacific with a gal you're about to meet named Lucy. So she and I have just become great friends and we're traveling everywhere as well. And same type of things, kooky, weird, funny adventures and just learning about the world. There's a line if you remember the old Goldie Hawn movie called Overboard,
Yes.
there's a line at the end where the butler goes like, you know, very few people in this life get to lift the blinders from how they were raised and where they came from. He goes, what you choose to do with this information is entirely up to you, but he's all, it's a gift. So I feel like that the blinders have been lifted from my little LA bubble of what you think. I mean, dating is different around the world. How we feel about beauty is different around the world. Um, how much money you make is different around the world. So when you think of a man who's trying to earn as much as he can so that he can retire, so that he can go lay in a hammock in the Bahamas, well, isn't that what somebody in Costa Rica is doing already? They're picking pineapples and having a nice time in the hammock. So why do we work so hard just to get what they're doing already? But I was lucky enough to publish my second book just about a month ago. I don't know if you can see it here. It's called The Secret of Oak Island.
Oh, other
Oh,
way.
this way.
There you go.
Yeah, this is
Awesome.
actually my grandfather's name, Bertram Smith. I he and it's starring my triplet mother running around looking for treasure on Oak Island,
Wow.
and it's like a wholesome Goonies adventure. He wrote it in 1963 and it was unpublished. I found it in the attic just about a year ago. And I thought, I'm going to publish this for my mother. She gave me the manuscript, but she doesn't know what's in it. She doesn't know she's the star of it. And she doesn't know that it's this fabulous, like Goonies, um, Outer Banks, Uncharted, National Treasure kind of a wholesome family fun adventure. So it's written in a different era. So I wanted to keep it word for word. And there's one cringy sentence that I just go, should I leave that in there? My grandfather goes, these are my daughters, the types of good girls that are seen and not heard. And I go, ah. But my own book has a lot of cringeworthy things from the 90s. We just said things differently, like even the word stewardess. Like the stewardess said I could get off the flight. We just say flight attendant now, or, it's not so specific. So if somebody wants to get offended, please don't pick up my book. That's not for you. But I wanted to write it as authentic as I could to the 90s. And just like this book, I thought, let me leave in the 1963 vibe because the rest of the book, the girls are given as good as the guys. They're crawling through tunnels and meeting pirates and having, knife fights and things like this. So he might have been in the era that was okay to say that, but he didn't really believe it to see what his daughters go through in this adventure book.
That's exciting. So when is this out?
That one's out already. It's published. The Secret of Oak Island by Bertram Smith and Pamdiana Jones.
I love
So I
it.
think he passed away in the 1980s. So I gave this to my mother for her 75th birthday, and I just filmed her unwrapping it and kind of going, "Hey, cute, she gave me a book. Oh wait, that's my father's name. Like, what is this?" And it's just a fun way to tie our family together for to our roots a little bit more.
I love this. I do. I love I love all the travels, all your adventures. You're lovely and just so
Thank
fun.
you. Right back at you, Miss Mexico and Hawaii soon. So well done.
Um, but I'll tell you this much. Y'all grab her books. They are available on Amazon, right? Both
Amazon,
on
yeah.
Amazon. Pam Deanna Jones. And
We're on
is there,
Kindle Unlimited too, if someone does have Kindle Unlimited.
oh,
So Kindle
perfect.
ebook, Kindle Unlimited, or if you like the paperback, that's on Amazon.
And then go follow her. She's on Instagram, on Facebook,
Instagram and
where,
Goodreads. If you're a reader, Goodreads is where to start meeting other readers and look for books too.
oh, absolutely. I'm on there all the time. But it was a pleasure. I can't wait to finish your book and share a little bit more about
Thank
it.
you.
And I
Yeah.
love connecting with you. Again, Pamdiana Jones, also known as Pam, and she's amazing. Y'all just go, let's support her. Let's check out her book, check out her feeds. She's fun. She's got an incredible story in here, lots of stories, packed with adventure and just wit, and she's just awesome. So thank you
Thank
again for
you.
being here. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. It's nice to meet you all. So I look forward to another meeting up with you again.
Absolutely.